Perfect. Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's public event. My name is Raphael Deverell here at Atrium Academy, and I'm excited to spotlight one of our new partners for our Founders Perk program, Chronicle Protocol. For those who don't know, Chronicle Protocol is a decentralized oracle. First oracle built on Ethereum, very interesting, and that oracle that's been powering MakerDAO. Today, we'll be focusing on how to use it to power our Uniswap hooks with Bianca. And please, Bianca, take it away.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the intro, Rafael, and nice meeting you, everyone. I'm excited to be part of this collaboration, bringing infrastructure to early stage builders. And also excited to tell you a bit more about Chronicle, oracles, and what we've been building. So maybe we start with let me share my screen. Okay, this should be visible, right?
Yes.
Perfect. So basically the idea for today is that you get an understanding on how you can potentially integrate Chronicle oracles with hooks after this session. So we're gonna focus on the oracle integration part and what are the specifics of building with Chronicle. Before that, a few words about myself. My name is Bianca Kabuze. I'm head of DevRel at Chronicle. I've been with the team now for over a year. Really excited to work here. And in terms of today's agenda, we will be looking first at the perks for builders, part of this program. Then we're gonna have a brief introduction on oracles. Then we're gonna look at Chronicle specifically and how it differentiates itself from other oracle solutions. We're also gonna have like a hands-on little demonstration on how you can build with the Chronicle feeds. And then at the end, we're gonna look at the next iteration for oracles. All right. I would like to mention that it's perfectly okay if you have like questions to interrupt me. Please either drop the message in the chat and Rafael will help moderate, or just feel free to unmute yourself and shout out your question. Both of these work. Okay, so today's session, as I was mentioning earlier, it's part of the Founders Perk series. So basically, we are providing early stage teams-free access to our infra. In the case of Oracle, that would be oracles that we have for Unichain on mainnet. So you can see here a screenshot from the dashboard where you can find these oracles. Maybe I can also demo you how to find those, even though I'm gonna do this a bit later as well, but just to have a sense of how to use the dashboard, how to find this information. If you go to chroniclelabs.org /dashboard, here you can find our oracles. You can see we have mainnet and testnet, and then we can select based on chain. So we can go for Unichain. Here we're gonna have like all the oracles live on Unichain mainnet. So very easy to find this information. Now, back to our presentation. Maybe we start with a 101 on oracles. I'm sure most of you are familiar with oracles, but in case some of you might want a refresher, or there might be some people who are newer to the space, I think it's worth having this. It's worth doing this. So why do we need oracles? You can think of blockchains as sandboxes. And the problem with the sandboxes is that the blockchain doesn't know anything outside of itself, outside of this sandbox. However, in order to have useful applications, we need data. And in most of the cases, this data is outside of the blockchain. For example, we might have real world data. So an analogy I really like to make when talking about oracles is to compare it with your mobile phone. So your mobile phone is powerful because it allows you to access all these different applications. That's its power. However, when you're boarding on a plane and you put your phone on plane mode, all of a sudden your phone doesn't do that much because you lose access to all these applications. This transmission of data doesn't happen anymore. So it's similar when it comes to oracles and the blockchains. In order to have meaningful application, they need this continuous flow of data. And here is where oracles come in place. They basically are this middleware that allows to connect to the real world and bring data to smart contracts to power decentralized applications. Now, a few words about Chronicle. Chronicle has been around since 2017. In fact, it is the very first Oracle on Ethereum. Started as part of MakerDAO. And later in 2023, it spun out of Maker under the branding of Chronicle, and also it became open for the whole Web3 ecosystem. Now, in terms of TVS, or total value secured, it secures over 7 billion of assets. It's currently the second largest Oracle. And you can always check this information on DeFi Llama / oracles. Now, something that is specific about Chronicle, and that we're proud to bring in the Oracle space is Scribe. So basically, Scribe is the design of our engineer for an extremely efficient Oracle that uses aggregated Schnorr signature. Now, Schnorr signatures have been existing for a while. They've even been used in Bitcoin. However, this is the first time when we're using Schnorr signatures in the context of Web3 oracles. Now, kind of continuing on what sets apart Chronicle from other oracles out there, I would like to break this down into 3 pillars. We have decentralization, verifiability, and the fact that it's scalable. So first part, decentralization. It is powered by a decentralized validator network. And as you can see, these are some of the most reputable projects in the Web3 space, such as Maker, Infura, Gitcoin, Euler, Etherscan, Nethermind, Block Analytica, Bitcoin Suisse, and others. The idea is that the data is signed and being validated by reputable projects. So these projects actually have skin in the game to get things right and have their reputation at stake. Now, second stop, verifiability. So we have a credibly neutral Oracle with end-to-end verifiable data integrity. So what do I mean by that? Let me show you on the dashboard. So if we go on the dashboard again, let's say I pick one of the oracles. I'm gonna pick the very first Oracle from the dashboard. My internet connection is not that great today. It's gonna take a minute to load the page. So here you can see the different validators that are signing the data. And let's say I pick one of these validators. Let's say I pick Steakhouse Financial. And you can see here the different data sources that have been used for this Oracle. So in this case, it's a combination of on-chain data sources, such as DEXs, and off-chain data sources, such as centralized exchanges. Now, something interesting that you can do, you can verify in the browser that the signature of the validator matches. And if I modify even slightly this signature, or let's say instead of 3, I'm going to put a 4 there. We're going to see that this doesn't match anymore. Similarly, we can verify the Schnorr signature for this. And the Schnorr signature is the actual data that gets pushed on chain. So we have the signature of the validator, and then we have this super signature, the Schnorr signature, that actually gets the data on chain. So this is about the end-to-end verifiability bit, where we can have like this transparency into the different validators, the data sources used, and basically you can trace at every single step what's happening via the Chronicle dashboard.
So real quick, the each node verifies that they say that this price is the correct price. Is that what that signature is saying, or at least the first one is saying?
Yeah, so each of the validators, they have to sign the data, and then we do a median of these values, and then one of them takes this value, puts it on chain, and this is like the Schnorr signature, basically.
Gotcha. And the snore is just the group consensus for what the price is.
Yes. Yeah.
Ah, cool.
Going back, scalability. Are there any additional questions actually before I move forward?
Uh, I have a question. So like, how do they decide like what the price of what price they should push? Do we like get like a like the whole range of prices? So how do we pick or how do they pick like one price? That's my question.
Yeah, so that's a very good question, actually. So each of them goes based on the data model. They get a price, and then they do a median of medians in order to remove the outlier, and then like get the median, and that's the value that gets pushed on chain.
Is that a medium algorithm like available for us to like kind of, see? Is it public?
Yeah, you can the Schnorr repo. I can share the links after this. It's
Awesome.
open source. Yeah, it's available in on
Okay.
GitHub. Any more questions? Okay, looks good then. Then scalability. So we use Schnorr signature aggregation, which allows us to reduce Oracle gas fees by over 60% on layer 1 and over 68% on layer 2. And what does it mean? So on one hand, this obviously means less to pay, less gas cost. But what I think is even more interesting, and that I personally find even more appealing than the gas cost, even though the gas cost itself, it's very important, especially when the network is congested and the gas is high. What I find even more interesting is that basically it allows to decouple the Oracle update gas cost from the number of validators. So what does it mean? It means that basically now we are able to add more validators without increasing the cost. This is one of the issues of Oracle's, because usually the more validators you add, the gas increases. So Oracle projects are kind of decentralized, if you want, to have like a very large validator set, because it increases the prices. But because we use this Schnorr signature mechanism, we are able to increase the number of validators, which means that we have a more robust network and better decentralization, which is very important. Now, another aspect, Chronicle is blockchain agnostic. Currently is live on 14 networks, I believe, and this number is continuously expanding. So if you're looking to get oracles to a chain, get in touch, and we can support you. Now the fun part, how do I use a Chronicle oracle? So it's worth to mention that Chronicle oracles are read protected by a whitelist. So in order to read from a Chronicle oracle, you need to be whitelisted. And we call that this whitelisting process, we call it a kiss. So kiss is when you get whitelisted, and this is when you potentially get removed, but that really shouldn't really happen. So the good news is that on testnet networks, you can whitelist yourself. So you can do what we call a self-kiss. And also it's important here that for each oracle that you want to use, you need to whitelist the address that will read from that oracle. Here I have linked, if you scan the QR code, you will see that it takes you to this tutorial, to the docs tutorials consuming Oracle data. So I broke it down. Maybe we'll look actually at the code. I have here a try it on remix button, and we can inspect it here. So we have a contract Oracle reader. Oh, it disappeared. And then we declare an instance of the Oracle that points to the iChronicle interface. And here, basically, we will put the address of the Oracle that we want to use. If you look at the comments here, you can see that actually this address corresponds to the EQSD Oracle on Sepolia. Then, similarly, we're going to have an instance of self-kisser of type I self-kisser. This is basically the contract that allows us the iSelf-Kisser interface allows us to do the whitelisting process. And here we're going to point it to the address of the self-kisser on Ethereum Sepolia, since we're doing our smart contract development on Ethereum Sepolia. And then in the constructor, basically, we whitelist our address. Then we have a read function that returns two values, the value returned by the Oracle and the age. The age represents basically the Unix timestamp since the last update of the Oracle. And yeah, that's it, pretty much. Here I just pasted some relevant bits from the iChronicle interface and the iSelf-Kisser. So if we were to do this live, let's see. We're going to compile and then deploy. I'm going to select injected provider. We're going to select the Oracle reader contract, and then we should be able to deploy. And hopefully bring my window back. Okay, there we go. So here the Chronicle will return the address of the Oracle that we're using. The function will return the two values, the value returned by the Oracle and the time in Unix timestamp since the last update, and the self-kisser, the address of the self-kisser, but this is not really important. Now, how do we find these two values, the address of the self-kisser and the address of the Oracle? Basically, in the same guide at the top, we have like the addresses of the self-kisser on all different chains where we are live. And then the address of the Oracle, you can grab it from the dashboard. If you go on the dashboard oracles, you can select the network that you want. Let's say maybe Unichain, and you can pick one of the oracles, copy the address, and just replace it basically in the code. Just always please keep in mind to make sure that both the self-kisser and the Oracle are on the same network, and that you have a bit of funds to cover the gas cost basically for the whitelisting. Any questions with this short demo?
Quick question. Just for the timestamp, if is there like some security checks that we should do? Like maybe if is there like a time range that we should check? Maybe like let's say if the price was like maybe an hour from the current timestamp, should we like be worried or anything like that when we're using this Oracle?
So we always encourage team to have their own guardrails in place, like to have your own such settings in your app. In terms of the Oracle update threshold itself, you can see like for each of the oracles, you will find the update threshold over here. For example, this one updates either every 30 minutes or whenever the price deviates by more than 0.15%, whichever of these two conditions come first. But yeah, we always encourage builders to put your own conditions within the app as well.
Do you guys have like a list of conditions? So maybe like examples that that is like a good practice in some of the projects that I've used Chronicles
I can
in the
share some,
past?
yes. If
Awesome.
you give me an address or something for Rafael, I can share such examples for sure.
Awesome.
Any more questions? If not, we can move forward. And that is yes. Well, I kind of already explained this process. So basically, in order to read from the Oracle, you select the chain that you want to use. You pick the address of the Oracle that you want to use. You go and find the address of the self-kisser on that specific chain, and then you whitelist the address that is reading from the oracles, as we just seen. And yeah, this is something to note here. This is only for testnet, this whitelisting process. If you want to read, if you want to use production oracles, then you need to get this whitelisted by us. In this case, since we're having this partnership to offer builders access, this would be the fee would be waived for participants in this project, in this program. Yeah. We also have a scaffold Oracle reader if you want to integrate this quickly. For those of you familiar with Austin Griffith and Biddle Guild and the work they have with scaffold, so it's the same. It's the integration into that. Now a few words about types of data. I kind of want to move to the second part of this presentation about what I like to call the next iteration for Oracle. So far we talked about price feeds, but now I want to focus for the second part about this next iteration. So when it comes to types of data, pretty much like oracles you can have an Oracle that delivers any type of data as long as there are data sources. However, I would argue that most widespread use cases are these free use cases. Crypto price data, here we're talking about prices for different cryptocurrencies. Non-crypto price data, here we're talking about prices for fiat, for stocks, commodities, etc. And category number 3, and this one I particularly find the most interesting one, and I'm saying that because we've seen recently a very big, a significant growth, I would say, of real world assets and tokenization. So that's why I'm saying that this for category, the attestable data is probably the most exciting right now. And here we're talking about any sort of verifiable piece of information. And some very common examples are here proof of funds and proof of ownership. So kind of going back to what I was saying earlier, we are witnessing what I called an Oracle renaissance. So we're moving beyond having oracles as simple data aggregators. And now oracles are transforming into this infrastructure for real world interoperability. So what I mean by that is that oracles now can help users and builders answer questions such as, is a tokenized asset generally backed? Yeah, is it appropriate for a financial contract to execute? Can users trust what they're interacting with? And so on. And if we're looking at some numbers, for example, the total market right now of real world assets on chain, this is according to real world assets.xyz. I actually recommend this website. They have like great insights on tokenization. So I've read this number today, and we're talking about 25.16 billion. However, if you're looking at the bigger picture and the total market for gold, currencies, real estate, commodities, we're talking about 40+ trillion. So if you compare the two numbers, you realize that it's a great opportunity for tokenized assets to expand. However, there is also a challenge when it comes to this tokenization, and that is around transparency. So tokenized assets, unlike crypto native assets, they're not inherently transparent and nor verifiable. And that's because these assets are residing in traditional financial systems. And as we know, those are siloed, they're opaque, and most importantly, they're off-chain. So we kind of have the same issue, pre-blockchain issue, where blockchain basically they can't verify that these assets are fully backed. And this also means that the protocols that are built on this blockchain also need to have these trust assumptions. So what that means is that users are forced to rely on the promises and the reputation of the protocols, dApps, and exchanges they used instead of like having this data on chain. So what's actually needed? If we want to scale this the proper way, real world assets would only reach their potential if the data behind them is verifiable. So as builders in the space, we need to demand transparency by design and verifiability. Otherwise, if we don't approach tokenization right, we basically risk introducing the same systemic risk that we have in traditional finance nowadays. The good news is that basically we can achieve this transparency and verifiability with oracles. So oracles enable trust and transparency. They allow to verify off-chain creditworthiness. They provide key data for assets such as purchase dates, yields, maturity dates. And most importantly, they allow to sync the asset lifecycle on chain. So basically you can track how an asset goes through the different stages such as issuance, transfer, settlement, and so on. And this is basically why we build the verified asset oracle. This is Chronicle oracles for real world assets. And the idea is behind this is that it connects directly to the custodian. So there is no middleman. It provides real-time independent tamper-proof attestation of the data that it puts on chain. And then basically it empowers DeFi protocols and builders to take appropriate risk measures. So what do I mean by that? For example, let's assume a certain asset and you want to see, okay, is this asset actually backed, but by what it is said? And if we discover that it's not backed, or maybe it's not backed, but the number expected, then we can have certain mechanisms, protection mechanisms. You can issue a liquidation, or you can, for example, take other risk-appropriate protection mechanism. Now, here are some of the integrations we've got so far for the verified asset Oracle. So we launched this product last summer actually, with an integration with M0. And since then, we had integrations with Centrifuge, Superstate, and also we're going to power all 3 winners of the Spark 1 billion tokenization Grand Prix. Those are BlackRock's Biddled, Centrifuge, and Superstate. And some other integrations are coming up, but we haven't announced those yet. That's kind of an overview about the verified asset Oracle and how it powers this tokenization of real world assets. Are there any questions?
I had another question. Um, how does Chronicle deal with disputes? Like what is a dispute? If there is one.
We have this notion of challengers. So basically, this is for optimistic scribe, which we have on layer 1, so on Ethereum mainnet. And basically what does it mean is that we have optimistic prices. There is a challenge period, and in that challenge period, anyone that runs a challenger can say like, hey, this price is not correct. If the challenger is right, the price gets dropped, the validator is banned, and the challenger gets a reward. Currently, the reward, I believe it's set at 1 ETH. Yeah. So anyone can come and be a challenger and get rewarded basically for keeping the system secure.
Gotcha. And I guess uh, going further off of that, like how far can you be off before it becomes a dispute? Like, is it 5 cents, 10 cents, a dollar? When is it like, okay, that's clear manipulation, if there is a such thing as clear manipulation.
I think it depends on the configuration for each Oracle. I can't give you like a number on the top of my head, but it really depends on the sensitivity configured for the Oracle.
Cool. Are there any other questions? If they're not, I really do appreciate it. Oracles are, very, very dire and very important. Also very scary in DeFi if you don't have the right checks, if you can't trust it, you can get wrecked. And we try not to get wrecked. And we don't want our devs to get wrecked. So I really appreciate the fundamentals of Chronicle. Um, and I'm excited to see like going forward what we can do with our founders perk program. So thank you so much, Bianca, for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having us, and excited to support early stage funders with our infra and access to on-chain data. If you have any questions or if you need further support, please don't hesitate to get in touch. Maybe I share this one more time, just our handles and Discord, such that people get a chance to scan this, or just take a screenshot where they can reach out, and we're always very happy to answer any sort of questions and support builders.
Cool. Appreciate it. Bang.
Thank you so much.